So, okay, we're ready to start and welcome everyone to our 10th class. This is week 10 of Short History of the World. We are quite a bit behind. So, I have a plan to deal with this for the next few weeks. I have quite a few recorded lectures that I've done, and I want to tell you about those and show you where they are because I want to make sure that you get caught up and you're ready for the final couple of weeks when I'm going to be really concentrating on the 20th century. Also, your major assignment is due around then, April the 20th. So essentially what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a little bit of orientation with you to show you where all the recorded talks are. And I am referring to Awakenings of Power has to be finished. Spells of Our God Kings, you have to see that. You need to see A Greater World, The Conquest, Freedom's Power, Humanity's Stain. So there's a lot of content that has to be delivered, and I can't deliver it all to you in person so that you get everything that you need. So what I'm going to suggest is that after I show you where all of these talks are today, we can have a discussion about those talks and anything else that you need to discuss. But then I'd like to end the class around, come on in, Seth, 1 o'clock, so that you have time to start watching the recorded talks on your own. There's several hours that you're going to need to watch over the next essentially 2 to 3 weeks. And I'm going to suggest as well, given the amount of content that you have to watch, and these are good recorded talks, recorded lectures that I did in this class, and there's a lot of material there that I probably would not have time to deliver in person if I did it again now, but it's all there for you in a recorded talk. And they're good. Students have said they really like these recorded talks. So in the past, what I have done at times is we would have recorded talks assigned before we then have a class, and then we would discuss the recorded talk. I haven't been doing that this semester for a number of reasons. But right now, I think the best thing to do to make sure that you are getting all the material you need, that you have time to do the assignments, and that we have time to address anything that may come up, is that I'm going to assign these essentially 6 recorded lectures to be watched over starting today, which is week 10. I'm going to suggest we don't have a class next week so that you have time to watch the recorded talks as well as submit your first assignment, which is due next week. Okay, so this is my plan I've laid out here, but I want you to listen and make sure you're okay with this, because I can change this depending on what the in-person students say, or if there's anybody online. Right now, I don't think anybody is. I'm just going to do a quick check over with Toria, and there's nobody online right now. Okay, so it's fine. Lots of students will watch the recording, and that was the plan too, that I said you didn't have to come to the class today, online or in person, if you came to the Wednesday class. And certainly Jazz was very much a presence in the Wednesday class. Wonderful moment with him that I'll show you. So he definitely doesn't need to be here. At any rate, if anybody comes online, we'll check in with them a little bit later. But let's come back to here because I'm going to have to go through something with you. So let's just review for a second, and so that Seth understands as well that I am talking now about the rest of the semester. Okay, so Danny, come on in, and so that I don't have to repeat this one more time, I want to make sure everything is clear with all of you who are here in person. and of course, all the students watching the recording will hear this. I am talking now about the rest of the semester, okay? Today, this is week 10. Week 11 is next week, week 12, week 13, week 14. That's what lies ahead. And we're talking about the class, today is class 10, class 11, class 12, class 13, and class 14. So that's class 11 is Friday, March the 31st. Class 12 is Friday, April the 7th. Just listen and make sure you follow, okay? Because this is the sort of the big picture. Class 13 is Friday, April the 14th, and our final class of the semester is Friday, April the 21st. So here's what I'd like to do to make sure that everybody is on track and can deliver everything to the best of their abilities. I am going to assign the 6 recorded talks today, and I'm going to show you where they are so you know. And those talks are Awakenings of Power, Spells of Our God Kings, A Greater World, The Conquest, Freedom's Power, Humanity's Stain. And then we're going to return on Friday, April the 14th, class 13, and I'm going to do the 20th century. And I'm going to spend in person with you the remaining 2 classes on the 20th century, because that is an absolutely remarkable period. And there's so much that I need to tell you, but I wish I could write a book on this, which I probably will eventually. But even so, I have to give 2 talks on the 20th century, and I'll still only be scratching the surface, because that growth, that change, what we're going through right now, so much in the world in the 21st century has a lot to do with the 20th century. So Friday, April the 14th and Friday, April the 21st, the final 2 classes will be all about the 20th century. So those talks that I'm assigning to you now are all to get you ready for the 20th century. So here is the really big thing that you need to know, and I hope you're good with this. Today I'm going to end at 1 o'clock earlier so that you have time to start watching the recorded talks. Class 11 next week, Friday, March the 31st, we're not going to have a class at all so that you can watch the recorded talks. We're talking about 6 or 7 hours of material here that you have to watch of lectures. Class 12 on Friday, April the 7th, no class. You're still watching all the recorded lectures, okay? We then return here in person for class 13 and class 14 for the 20th century. So between now and class 13, I'm not going to see you. You're going to have 6 recorded lectures to watch. In that time, you're also going to have an assignment to submit, which is due next week, right? March the 30th, your first assignment. When we return on the 13th, class 13 or Friday, April the 14th, okay? Class 13. At that point, you will have your marks for your first assignment, and you will be thinking, and you may have even begun your major assignment that is due on April the 20th. You may want to do your final assignment on the 20th century. You won't have a lot of time to do that because the assignment is due on Thursday, April the 20th, and I won't be starting to talk about the 20th century until class 13, which is April the 14th. So my suggestion would be that if you want to do your final assignment on the 20th century, maybe you shouldn't. And maybe what you want to do is select something else, but that when you come for the 20th century lectures, you can be referring to the 20th century in your final assignment as a reference, but it's not the topic, okay? And that way you'll have time to make sure that your final assignment is not rushed, because it's worth 35% of your final grade, okay? And then The next day, on Friday, April the 21st, the final day of the class, we will have our final class that day. You have your fourth reflection due that night. And your fourth reflection will be on, did your perspective on the human story shift? What do you feel about this course that might have changed or deepened or not your perspective on the human story? So you're going to do a little reflection right at the end, that final day, right after the class, and I might even have a shorter class that day. We'll end at 1 o'clock, so you could literally sit here that day and do your final reflection in class. Okay? Make sense, Grayson? Yeah. Okay. Good. Make sure, because there's a lot of, I planned this out, and there's a lot of little stick handling here, because so many things happen in the global classroom over the course of a semester that I'm dealing with separate from my classes, and so I have to help people with that. I have other projects, and so things can change, and I have to make sure I'm always staying a couple of beats ahead of all of you to make sure that you have everything that you need. I never come into this class using the same course outline that I did the previous semester. The outcomes are always the same, the course learning outcomes, but I always am shifting because I like to keep everything current for all of you. That's part of what this classroom is, apart from everything else in terms of the tech and what we're doing with the multimedia, is you can be learning so much online now that we educators have to make sure that we're not using materials that are out of date. And our PowerPoints can be out of date within a year or less. So we have to be prepared to come into a class and teach on our toes what's current. So, but we have to be prepared. Things change, and I have to communicate that to you. So is this all making sense? You good? You good? Okay. So do you have any questions at this point about the kind of the breakdown of this? I can lay this out on the board for you in the smart board. I just need somebody to. Seth, can you go write? Could you write, or maybe Alex? You? Yeah. Okay. Seth, are you okay to write again today? Or just a sec. You did it last week. Grayson's done it. Marshall, are you? So you're. Danny, you've written on the board, haven't you? Yeah. Okay. Seth, do you mind then going over there, and we'll just put these dates down, okay? Thanks. So we'll go through this once more. We'll write this up here, and then I'm going to show you the recorded talks. I'd like to show you a bit of the global graduate class that we did on Wednesday, and then we're going to be done. Okay? Great. Okay. So Seth, yeah, go ahead and just you can move the slide over, and I am going to give this breakdown to you, and we will have this right in the notes. Oh, sure, yeah. Here you go. Who will be here present in this classroom? I will be here. So you can come and talk to me one-on-one. I'll still be here, and I'll be probably recording some lectures for other classes, and so I will be here. For sure, yeah, just that we're not going to have an official class, okay? But I'll always be available those times. Okay, Seth, great. So let's get this on the board, okay? So this is the plan until the end of the semester. All right. So I have essentially 7 things to note there. So you can actually number it. You can put 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I'm going to give you the things to put into those 7 lines. Okay, so number one, and you can write would be A1, which is assignment 1, due Thursday, March the 30th. And I'm just going to go over to our global graduate class here. Okay, you can see. So assignment 1 is due Thursday, March the 30th. class. We had, there's our president, there's Jazz. Thursday, March the 30th for assignment 1. Excellent. And then number 2, class 11, Friday, March the 31st. Canceled. Okay. So class 11, Friday, March the 31st, canceled. And let's see, I'll leave that for now. I'm not going to run this yet. Just want to make sure Seth gets all this. So assignment 1, Thursday, March the 30th, that's been posted. Class 11, Friday, March the 31st. Excellent. Canceled. Took me a while to learn how to write on that, Seth. You know, with the right, where you put your finger on the pen, but you're getting it. That's nice, okay? Number 3, class 12, Friday, April the 7th. That's going to be canceled. So there's that. And let me just see what's happening over on Vimeo, because this is where you're going to get all the talks, the recorded talks. I'll show you. Yeah, Friday, April the 7th. And that is canceled. Yep. Have any of you actually seen the Vimeo channel for the global class? Because now I need to orient you now. This is where everything is posted, and including some great student work that's been done and a lot of talks and classes. So I'm going to be taking you to the lectures here, okay? But it's all in one channel. Great. So canceled Friday, April the 7th. It's canceled. Class 13, 4. So number 4, class 13. And Friday, April the 14th, that's the class you come back. And we can just put Friday, April the 14th, class 13, and then you can put 20th century begins. Friday, April the 14th. Yep. Nice. 20th century begins. See, I'll try to go to awakenings. I'll show you, for example, you can use this and you can key in. So, for example, awakenings of power. Yeah, so there's awakenings of power, part 1. Oh, that's the one I did at home. Okay, here we go. Yeah. So you're going to get, but it's rich in content. It's just great. But I've already gone through quite a bit of this with you last week, so I just want to go to the part with Greece. Okay, 20th century begins. Nice. Number 5. In week 13. Well, hold on. Assignment 2, A2, Thursday, April the 20th. That's the assignment 2 is due. Assignment 2 is due Thursday, April the 20th. Nice, Seth. Okay, let's just go see if anybody's online with us. Nope. Yep, Thursday, April 20th. So this is all Thursday, April the 20th. Good. So I'll come back to Vimeo. Nice. Okay. Due, and that's due Thursday, April the 20th. Excellent. Okay, number 6. Class 14. Friday, April the 21st. Final class semester. Class 14. Friday, April the 21st? Yep, good. A lot of numbers here. Okay. Friday, that's final class, 20th century, part 2. Yeah, April the 21st. April the 21st. Final class of semester. And then the topic, the lecture will be 20th century ends and beyond. Because I want to touch on this fundamental force for all of you at the end, which is evolution. You know, it is the greatest force in our lives. And you may want to have a little discussion at the end with me about, well, where do you think we're going? You know, just very, look at this. Come in, Jazz. I'm just going over. You'll see this on the recording, okay? But I was talking about you, Jazz, because I'm going to show them a little something in a moment. So good stuff. Okay, finally, Seth, number 7. Okay, number 7, and then we can come back and that is reflection 4 or R4. Number 7. Reflection 4, you can, R4, yeah, reflection 4. It's due Friday, April the 21st. At 11:59 p.m. So I'm just going through the rest of the semester because there's been some changes, okay? Friday, look at this. I thought he was sitting down. That would be good. Okay, I haven't seen a student sit down yet. You're on your knees. Okay, Friday, April the 21st, 11:59 p.m. And that's great. Okay, just stay there because I want you to do one more slide and then we're going to be done. I'm going to list out for you the recorded lectures. Yeah, 11:59 p.m. Good stuff, nice and clear. Okay, and then just make another slide, and the recorded lectures. Just title it "Recorded Lectures to Watch." And these are the recorded lectures that are all on the Global Class Vimeo channel. So let me go back here to profile. What's that? The student portal? Okay, yeah. DC Connect. Yes. I'll put something there. Yeah, I'll put it's something on DC Connect for sure. So recorded lectures, there are 6 that you're going to, recorded lectures to watch. And these are the 6. And then I'm going to show you where to go. And then I'll have this all linked up on DC Connect. So there's 6. Awakenings of Power. Number 1. And while we're doing that, I'll show you where they are. Okay, so we'll do this nice and it's like the old PowerPoint. The PowerPoint bullet comes up, and then I talk about it, and then we're doing the nice live PowerPoint here. Okay. So Number two, let's see, Awakenings of Power. So where is Awakenings of Power? Well, you go to the Global Class Vimeo channel, which is here. Okay, and the link I could give you. I'll have to post that. But let's see what happens for the moment. I'd like to test something. Marshall, could you just go to your browser and just enter Global Class Vimeo and see what happens? Okay? Because we're going to go through each of the lectures now, Seth, and where we could find them. So let's see if it's that simple. Global Class Vimeo. Do you see this?
Link.
Okay. Oh, good. So what do you, I want you to come to this, and it should be, what do you, Global Class Vimeo, the Global Class, are you seeing a, can you show me what let me, I'll come around and take a look.
I'm seeing exactly what's on the screen.
Beautiful.
It took a couple of links, but I got there.
So when you entered Global Class Vimeo, what then did you have to click on?
Well, I'm going to go through this step by step.
Okay.
So
Students that are watching the recording, go ahead. So what did you?
right. So first, I typed in Global Class Vimeo in Google,
Mhm.
and then approximately the second link, depending on what browser you're using, there should be a Vimeo link that says Global Class October 13th, 2021 on Vimeo.
Oh, so that's an old recording or something. It's just one of the many things posted there. So then?
Yes, I clicked on the link, and then it takes me to the page.
Okay.
And then I actually click the channel of the Global Class, and then it takes me what you see on the big screen.
Okay. Is there an easier way? Like, it seems like you had too many clicks to do. Is there a faster way to, like, if you just enter Global Class Vimeo channel homepage?
Let me try that.
Let's try that. At any rate, for all of you watching, now you can see on the video wall what you will land on. And just to be really clear for all of you, I'm going to push this out full screen for everybody online. And I'll do it this way, okay? I'm going to go down to Toria. Yeah, there's still nobody here online, so that's fine. I'm gonna share that tab, which would be I'm sharing the Vimeo channel. Yeah, so it would be that one I want to share. Great. So now on the YouTube live stream, on the Toria broadcast, on the recording, everybody's seeing this full screen. And of course, the students here are seeing it on the wall. So that's good. So this is critical, what you're looking at right now. Everybody has to find this because you're going to be using this a lot over the next few weeks. And this Vimeo channel that you're looking at of the Global Class is the result of about 12 or 13 years of work. So there's a lot of content here. It's very rich in content. And you're going to have to watch everything that we've done over the last 13 years in the next 3 weeks. Right, Danny? Okay. Yeah, that's okay. So let me just orient you for a moment to all of this. First, we're going to go find Awakenings of Power. That's the first recorded talk. To do that, because there's 296 videos here, you're not going to be scrolling through all of those. You go up to the search. You go Awakenings. Power. Well, we can just do Awakenings if you want. Awakenings of Power. And you've got two parts. Part one. And then there's part two. Now, I want to go back for a moment. And this is kind of weird, the way this has been working. Let's go back. But you would have two parts to watch. But with this particular talk, I'm going to actually assign a part of this, not the whole thing, because I've already delivered part of this to you last week. But for Spells of Our God Kings, everything else, you're going to be watching the complete recordings from beginning to end. Okay? Yes, Marshall. Just a sec. Marshall, go ahead.
I would like to provide an update on how to get to the
Great.
channel.
Sure.
Unfortunately, I couldn't find an easier way, so I made an easier way.
Okay, good.
I decided to copy the URL into my computer notes
Yes.
and copy and paste the link into the browser.
So that means that you're one click away, always from the homepage?
Yep.
Yeah, way to go. So for those of you out there in, cyberspace watching the recording, please listen to what Marshall just said. He's giving you tips. Okay? And I can't put all of this on DC Connect. So I'm going to just repeat this. Well, we'll see. For those of you watching the recordings, if you've watched this far, because not everybody watches the recordings the way they're supposed to, but you have to. Please follow what Marshall just said. Try that, because you want to make sure that this channel, and I'm going to come back to the homepage, the Vimeo channel right now, and I'll get your view of it because you're looking at my view, but this is your view. This is the homepage that you need to be accessing regularly over the next 2 to 3 weeks on your own. We're not going to have class next week, Jazz, or the following week, because I want to give you time to watch recorded talk. We're behind on content, essentially, and I want to give you time to watch recordings and be ready for the final 2 weeks when I'm going to deliver in-person lectures on the 20th century, because that's the really critical stuff, okay? So I'm setting everybody up for that, okay, for now. Okay, Danny, you take a microphone, because the students watching the recording may want to hear this. Go ahead.
Still don't know how to get to the Vimeo global class.
Well, why don't you, can you go sit beside Marshall and follow? He will guide you, or, just watch Marshall, because he can help you, okay? If I explain it, I don't know if I can explain it as well as he can. He's on top of this. So go grab a seat. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Marshall, you can guide him while we're continuing. So you can keep going, guys. So Awakenings of Power, parts 1 and part 2. I will come back to which part of that to watch. I'm going to finish all the other talks first. The only talk that you don't need to watch the entirety of is Awakenings of Power, because I delivered the beginning of that last week. So then, let's do the next one. Spells of Our God Kings follows Awakenings of Power. Okay, do you want to put that up there? Spells of Our God Kings. So for Spells of Our God Kings, you'd go to Vimeo. You could enter spells of, or you could even just enter spells. We've got a few of them, and I want to make sure the right one is assigned. It would be, okay, hold on. Spells of Our God Kings, part 1. There we go. Oh, no, that's the one that was done for hearing challenged. So let me just come back for a second. I'll give you the right link. Spells of Our God Kings, and select previous tab. Good. Okay, so let's go back to Spells of Our God Kings, and it would be this one without the, there we go, and there's Cyrus. Yeah, the great Persian king. Oh boy, yeah, you're gonna. So parts 1 and 2. And part 1 is here. And it's the part 1 that does not have the sign facilitator, the signing facilitator, who was there for hearing impaired students. And if you do have a hearing impairment, for those who are watching the recording, there is a version with signing done in the corner of the screen. But this is the one you want, Spells of Our God Kings part 1. And then there's part 2. as well. Okay. So I'll briefly run this so you can get a sense, just like for a minute or so. And let's see, I'm pushing this out right now. I'm going to come back and stop sharing this so that everybody can see this. Great. So for the students watching the recordings now, you're seeing all of us here. You see this behind me. I'll just turn this on, see what happens. Yeah. Let me just bring this down. I'm going to cut the audio so you can hear me as I narrate. I'm going to leave that up there for now. There's another reason why I like to be able to assign these for all of you to watch. And I just need to double check that the audio is good. It's not unmuted. I'll come back. So, let's see. Let me just make this full screen. There's more content in these. I had a chance during the pandemic to record a lot of the talks with a student on the smartboard who was making notes at the same time, who was helping at the time. A Seth, but another Seth. And so I brought in books and my notes, and I was able to really deliver some good lectures at that time. And so that's why I'm masked. And the student who was doing the notes, Cassandra, who's now working in part-time learning, Cassandra White, she also did some editing on this so that sometimes you'll see as I'm delivering the lecture, there will be a close-up of a slide that she cuts to. And that's because she was able to do some editing afterwards. So these are good, and I think you're going to enjoy them. There's a lot of good content there, and I think that you're going to have a really good sort of reservoir of material to draw from for your final assignment when you want to be referring to important content. But really, by the end of this course, Friday, April the 21st, when you sit down and you leave the class that day and you do your final reflection, you should really feel that you've had a unique, progressive, and important introduction to the human story on planet Earth in a way you've never had before. And I hope that's going to help you in your life and your decisions. The fact is, your future is going to be more and more planet-wide. Just to give you one small example, last night I was watching the news with my wife at home, and there was a new television show or radio show on CBC promoted, I think on their online channel. It's called Nothing is Foreign. Nothing is foreign. Think about that for a moment. Just think about the idea that you're living in a world where nothing is foreign anymore. Now, it may be that it kind of is, but technology links you to so many different cultures. You can travel more freely and more cheaply. You can move around the planet more easily. You're exposed to so many different ideas. And anything that happens in one part of the world is everything, everywhere, all at once. Why do you think that that movie has resonated so much? It obviously must be good. I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to watch it this weekend with my wife, finally. I hope it's as good as the hype says. Has anyone seen it? Everything, Everywhere, All at Once? Not yet? But think of that title. Now it's about the sort of multiverse, apparently, but I mean, there's clearly a story in there centered around the Hong Kong-based Malaysian actress who won the Academy Award. I forget her name. Michelle Yeoh, yeah, Michelle, the first Asian actor, male or female, I think, to ever win female. But I don't think a male Asian actor has ever won the Academy Award for Best Actor. Yeah, he won for supporting actor. So that movie cleaned up. But just because it cleaned up in the Oscars doesn't mean it's a great movie. It could be hype, but it does mean it has something that's working in there. For me, right now, the title is a great title. And we are living in an age, not about space. If you just put space aside, the multiverse and other different, just in terms of how we live in your head, it's everything everywhere all at once. You're thinking climate change, that's the planet. You're thinking Durham College, that's my life here, and then get into Danny's head and we got, Syria happening there, and then there's Canada happening. And then there's, God knows how many other things that make you everything everywhere all at once. Does that make sense? Yeah, kind of like, so I'm trying to get you ready for that by trying to show you there's a story on the planet that we all share. And that is this great human story on planet Earth. And it's very much a story for our age. And I hope that by the end of this course, if you watch these talks, you're going to have a pretty good sense of something about our story that is going to help you in your future, because you will know truly what unites us as humans, but also divides us as humans. And just remember what a student said in this course several years ago, and it's in the final assignment sheet. It's the quote at the top of the assignment sheet. This student said, "I have come to realize the importance of what it means to be human." I hope that on April the 21st, when you write your final reflection and you reflect back on this, that you also will have a little bit of a sense of what it means to be human, because that is our future. So, okay, let's finish these talks. I don't need to show you them all right now, but essentially this is the orientation right now. It's all happening on the Vimeo channel, and I'll just come back to the main page, and I think it's probably here. Oh, that's the signing one. I'll do it this way. Go to the profile page. Great. Okay. So here's something else. I'll finish so there's Spells of Ardgard Kings, part 1, 2. There's A Greater World. That's where you're going to start to feel good about human beings. You're going to meet the first global citizens. Not just Marco Polo, but another person like Marco Polo named Leo Africanus in northern Africa. These are the humans that began to travel around the world through trade and commerce. They wanted to sell things. They weren't doing that because they wanted to conquer somebody and subjugate. They wanted to make money, trade. They were entrepreneurs, and they really started to link the world. So A Greater World. Then there is the Conquest, which is the heaviest part of the course. The Conquest, that's where you're going to see what happened when the Eastern Hemisphere, which is Afro-Eurasia, everything east of the Atlantic Ocean, discovered everything west of the Atlantic Ocean, the Americas. Essentially the Christopher Columbus expeditions, but there were others. That is when one half of the world, the Eastern Hemisphere, essentially conquered and slaughtered the indigenous populations of the Americas. And then they brought European culture here. You may sometimes wonder today why we see so much effort made by the indigenous populations of Canada United States to right the wrongs of history. Well, you'll see where that really began. When the Europeans came over here and with the blessing of their religious leaders, they essentially killed most of the population here because most of the people here did not want to become Christian. It's a bad story, but it's also an important story to understand in terms of providing some context to this idea that Christopher Columbus and the voyages that came here brought good things. They brought new things, but they stole a lot. They killed a lot of people. And history often turns on this kind of cruelty and brutality. And we're seeing this play out right now, once again, in Ukraine and Russia, and a war that is potentially escalating now that China has made it very clear that they're going to provide weapons to Russia. Yep, they're making the bullets in China right now. Okay, so the conquest, and then number 5 is freedom's power, where you're going to see after the conquest, just this idea of free thinking and freedom is so powerful for humans that it's going to really reemerge now in our story. Freedom's power. And then humanity's stain. And that is when we finally confront the idea of institutionalized slavery, which almost every society in every part of the world, up until modern times, has benefited from slavery. Yeah, I'm afraid. They've all used it, whether Chinese, African, Muslim, you name it. And then humanity's stain. That's the big, where we deal with the abolition of slavery. And then number 7 is, you don't need to write that down, that's when we come back for the 20th century. 20th century is the most remarkable, most dramatic period in human history. It's also a time when you're going to see a lesson from history that I'd like to repeat to you now, and then we're going to conclude. That's great, Seth. That's it. Okay? Way to go. You can just leave that there, okay? And that's it. So I'm just going to conclude today's class by a couple of things. I want to show you a bit of the global graduate class, but I want to tell you something that Ronald Wright, in his lovely short history of progress, where he said that each time history repeats itself, it is said that the only thing that changes is the price goes up, the cost goes up. You're going to see in the 20th century something that speaks to this truth, that there's going to be an immense amount of human population growth on the planet. The population of the planet is going to increase almost 8 times to 7 to 8 billion people on the planet today. And at the beginning of the 20th century, it was about 1 billion. You're going to see a remarkable period of growth. You're also going to see 2 world wars. And you're going to start to understand something about this idea that what can be happening to humans increasingly is that if we don't solve our deep social problems that we continue to have in our story, the only thing that's going to change in our story is that when history does repeat itself, the cost is going to be greater. More people are going to be affected. More lives will be upended because we are all so connected now. So you will start to understand something about this, but just wait, just watch these talks slowly but surely. It's this idea that each time history repeats itself, it is said that the only thing that really changes is that the cost goes up, the price goes up, the consequences go up when history repeats itself. History does not always repeat itself. humans repeat themselves because humans don't learn. But there's nothing inevitable about history. History doesn't just go on repeating itself. History does change. Good things happen. We do grow. But when history does repeat itself, it's because we humans haven't learned something. We haven't been able to be brave enough or smart enough. And when we do repeat ourselves, as we did in the Second World War, you will see the cost go up. The scale of destruction is immense. More people die. More lives are upended. More suffering results. And it's not just a small number. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And you'll start to understand something about how if we don't solve something like, let's say, global warming, or deal with the fact that our waste is changing the natural world, everybody's going to be affected on the planet in one way or the other. And I mean everybody. Already in Toronto, for example, just a tiny example, the outdoor rinks will not be opening as much anymore in the future because it's harder to maintain our outdoor rinks because it's warming. Just in Toronto, there's small things happening, but all sorts of things are going on all over the world in terms of droughts and wildfires and you know, the ocean acidification. I mean, it's a whole other class. Just keep that in the back of your mind, that idea that, you know, history seems to repeat itself. And when it does, how much does the price go up? How much more costly is it going to become for humanity if we make the same mistakes? Okay, so, all right, so this is what you need to do for the next few weeks. I guess we're looking at, we end today early, then there's Friday, next week and the following week. Over these next 2 weeks on your own, actually it will be up until Friday, April the 14th. So we're talking 3 weeks, aren't we? Let me make sure I've got the math here properly, right? 4 weeks. So we're looking at, can you go back again to the other slide, Seth, and just make sure we're, I've got this. So yeah, and go back to the previous one, the first one, because that's what we're really, exactly. Keep going. There we go. So between now and April the 14th, when you come back for class 13, so that's 3 weeks, you have those 6 talks. You know where to find them. You have your first assignment due next week. You're getting ready to do your final assignment. Do you have any questions? Like, do you feel and you're good, Danny? Yeah, great. Thanks, Mark. Yep. Seth? You know what I'll do is, yeah, it's a good, I think what I'll do is, I did this for another class. I will put the right ones, the right versions, in the DC Connect content page. Okay? So everybody's had an overview of this. You don't have to go to the Vimeo channel. It'll be all there on the DC Connect content page. But listen, if you want to, go to the DC Connect to the Vimeo channel. You can see all sorts of other stuff about the global class, you know, the TEDx talk I gave some years ago. There's papers I've written on video conferencing in higher education with colleagues. You know, this whole idea of what we're building in the global class room, the multimedia live global class, predated the pandemic by many years. And the pandemic only made what we do more relevant. So there's all on these papers, you know, you can click here and you can see there's the TEDx talk I gave some time ago at Trent University. You know, if you just, you know, want to learn more about, this is just background stuff, okay? Anyways, okay. So I think that, yeah, there's a few years ago doing this, a student in the class here put on a TED talk at Trent University, and he asked me to come and speak here. I'll show you. Well, anyways, you can watch it, and that's if you want to know more about what's going on. Okay, let me come back to the Vimeo channel. There's papers, but this is a really good, rich channel in content. This one, about, is it a year ago or 2 years? Because I have my green mask. Begin. No. Yeah. That's right. So let's look at something I want to show you, and then we're going to end, okay? Here, I got it. I got to show you, Jazz, you got to show this moment. It's a lovely moment where he really captures something about being a global graduate. And these were the guests. You know, you can watch this class if you want, because there's some great information from Stephen, Shelby, Roseanne, Stephen from Tokyo, Shelby from the Toronto Blue Jays training camp in Dunedin, Florida, Roseanne from Auckland in New Zealand. And I'll run this a little bit, but then I'm going to fast forward to the part with Jazz. Oh, I got to push this out for because they won't hear. Let me just get this pushed out for the online students, and I do it this way. I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to share this. Good. Okay. Great. So I'll run it.
Panelists
again.
today,
Good.
Steve Barker, Shelby Nelson, and Roseanne Canella. Very nice to have you join us from around the world. And I always like to recognize Sally from our alumni.
Just a second. I'll make sure my audio is on. There's so counterintuitive, but then I can narrate over this. Good. Yeah. Because if I'm sharing, it's okay. So let's come back to the global grad. Keep it going. The online can hear me.
Office who puts so much effort into these classrooms and these dialogues that we have with alumni from around the world.
Okay,
I
so
do want to begin with a short acknowledgement.
that's our president, of course, talking, setting
Occupy,
up.
and we
Here are all the
acknowledge
people
our
coming in, and then
situated on
I'm
the
gonna
traditional territory
come
of
back,
the Mississauga.
because I was doing the switching here so that I could control what everybody sees, because looking at this the whole
Our work on
time
these lands
is very boring.
acknowledges the resilience
looking at
and
just,
long-standing
so I was
contributions to
playing
an
around.
area
Then
known.
we would be full screen with
all of you.
the guests. Yeah,
you
there's
know, lots of
Shelby.
different avenues.
Look at
So
it.
it's
This is
given me a lot more opportunity. It's
he's the
got
one
me,
who's
you
who
know, being in
oversees
sports
the
industry, what's a
training
lot
camp
different here in
facilities for the
US
Toronto Blue
is
Jays
obviously
in Dunedin,
near me, we
Florida.
have,
And there
you
he
know,
is live, and there's
12
one
other
of the training
minor league
facilities,
baseball facilities,
talking
spring
about
training,
what he was
tons
doing.
of colleges and
And
universities.
let's see.
So it's,
Yeah, there's Roseanne
those
in
things that you
Auckland,
don't
New
really,
Zealand.
real.
These came up.
And come
I-
back.
That's great.
sometimes
Cassandra,
wide there's
do you want to try
Stephen,
jumping
Tokyo.
phone and
Okay, then
if you can't share
finally,
your video, even if you're standing.
our president
Fine.
started to talk about international students and the
Corey,
importance of international
still-
students and
Hello?
here
Yeah,
And,
great. Go ahead, Corey. Excellent.
and so I said to the
Question
students sitting here, including Jazz, well, is anything you'd like to say?
Management program this year as well.
So this is what Jazz does.
My
this is-
question, I'm considering
Guts. This is
working on
just okay. Here's
opportunities
Corius
abroad.
from another class. So
when you are moving abroad,
you guys see this.
Boy, did I take a risk, and I'm
Turn this up.
experiencing all the things that you described. You know, new currency, new culture, new words, different words, right? So thank you for that.
Actually, I was thinking perhaps we could go over here because there may be something Jazz want. You don't
Have a
have to.
question, Jazz?
International student.
Look at this.
You want? Okay, give Jazz a from.
He comes
Gujarat.
up.
Yeah, and he's.
So you just
and
take the
then,
mic. He
That's
comes
the
up.
mic.
Comes up.
Okay. Oh, Shelby has answered Cindy's question in the live chat, so we're good. And then Katrina, Mohammed, if there's anything you want to say, feel free. Okay, but you don't.
First of all,
Yeah, go ahead, Jazz.
hello everyone. Hello, President. A lot of student comes and goes within this DC school, they might know you, but you don't know them, right? But here, me, my name's Yash Kumar Rami. I'm from GJ02, Gujarat, west part of India. I am doing in related to music in my field, but by profession, I'm a veterinarian, I'm a chemist, and I'm a teacher. Plus, I love making new songs, videos, and everything.
Pretty good rap too. You do pretty
Right,
good rap. Yeah.
right.
Heard- Yeah.
I've been living here for like 2 years. DC community is raising me. This is a lot that I ever got that I wanted to do so far. And I really, really, really want to do something for DC too, because I know a lot of students over there in my state. They are not that educated, but they are lack of some fields that they want to study, but they cannot actually because of the government, because of the structure of studying and everything. But I can help them bring in here. I can help them see how education's going on forward in this world like this. You would screen, you would sell intelligent people and everything. So I'm really honored to be here today. And yeah, thank you so much.
Jazz, thank you very, very much.
Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that. Good luck with your studies.
You know, just a second.
Just stop for a sec so I can. Over here, this is the vice president of academic, right there, Elaine. He's executive dean of media art and design. Sorry, and you know, there's executives here. He's standing there and he's just talking about what he like. He's empowered. He's inspired. He's conveying that to people, and I can't tell you as an educator, as a teacher. I mean, you could pay me $1 million, and I would give that money away, and I would take that over the money. I'm serious, because that is what being in a classroom is all about. Is we're inspiring each other to learn. You got to understand something. It's not just about me teaching you. You guys inspire me. When you get into it and you care, that makes me want to work even harder for you. I want to say one thing, okay, to all of you about what this global graduate class is about. If maybe you didn't pick it up, and then we have to conclude, because I promised I'd let you go early. I don't know if you understand yet that in school, you're not here to just get a degree and a credential, but you're actually here to learn how to learn. When you graduate, if you don't want to keep learning and you don't know how to be a lifelong learner, you're going to be so ordinary and you're going to be left behind in this world. You can be anywhere. You can be sitting here all your life. You can come from India. You can go to Tokyo. You can go anywhere. That's great. But the true thing is, inside of you, if you don't always want to be learning, you're not going to be able to take advantage of any situation around you. So the critical thing I'm always trying to do when I walk into a classroom is to help you deepen your appreciation of learning and maybe fall in love with the idea of the human mind and educating yourself your whole life. Does that make sense? I hope you're ready for that. Because when you leave here and you graduate, if you don't know how to keep learning, somebody's going to make decisions for you, and you will always be a kind of a victim. Somebody's doing something for you. But if you're always learning, you always find a way to be in control, in charge, to lead. So just remember that. Please work on your love of learning. And if you don't like learning yet, send me an email and say, Lon, I don't understand what you meant. I want to like to learn, because he loves to learn. It's so obvious, you know. But if you don't feel any of that, I'm going to state this very, very clearly. If you don't like to learn, you have a problem. You have a big problem. But I'll help you solve it if you want, okay? Is there anything I need to address in terms of what's coming for all of you in the next few weeks? You good, Grayson? Yeah? Seth, everything good? Just leave the notes there. Danny, Alex, Marshall, Jazz, okay? I'm not going to see you for another couple of weeks, but you can always I will always be here on Fridays doing other things. You can always come and chat with me if you need to meet with me, but we're going to come back and have our big 20th century classes starting on April the 14th. Okay, everybody. See you soon. And let me just end this live stream before I forget.